What's up, party people? Welcome back to part 2 of our 1-year anniversary extravaganza. I'm Jeff, of course, joined by my friend Lakan. Say hi, Lakan.
Hi, Lakan.
Okay, so this is actually the third time we are recording this opening preamble. This will probably be at least the second time we record this episode.
Yeah.
So we originally got together. By the way, I'm in my sister-in-law's bedroom right now, recording this over Memorial Day weekend. We actually recorded the full episode twice. Well, basically like an episode and a half last week. The program that shall not be named didn't record us the first time. So we had like a half-hour recording. And then the second time it recorded us and it sounded jank, right? Was that the case?
Basically, yeah. There was a screw up on my end. Technical issues happened, and I basically just lost all of the audio from Jeff's end. So, like, my right. Audio recording was perfectly fine. Unfortunately, Jeff's got corrupted, and then I tried to salvage it, and I couldn't get it back, basically. Right.
So here we are, trying to get this damn episode out, despite all sorts of divine punishment against us here. And it is something that's really cool. It's something that's going to give people a better look at our gaming histories and a little bit more about who we are. And everybody loves a top 5 list, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone does.
So for this, we're going to do our top 5 games. Now, for me, this is going to just be games, obviously, for me. And I know for you, Lakan, fighting games mean a lot to you. They mean a lot to me. So it's rather difficult to find out where fighting games rank on my all-time list.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excluding fighting games. I'm also excluding sports games just because, again, like there's no way that I can put NFL 2K5 on this list, but that game does mean a lot to me, right? So It's challenging to find a place for that to fit. Also, the other thing that I didn't realize is I don't have any rhythm games on here either. Another genre that means a lot to the two of us.
Yeah.
And that's something that, I hadn't really considered, but that's also something we can do in the future, our top 5 rhythm games. And, just something else that we can do because, again, that's a genre that means a lot to us, but I don't think was represented in either of our lists.
Yeah. So I mean, again, as we said before, we've already recorded this once. Well, actually, because it's been over a week now since we recorded, I honestly forgot what your top 5 in the first place was. But I remember we had a couple things lined up in our honorable mentions list, at least.
Right.
Yeah, but
so I do have an OLI. I have an expansive outside looking in list with no rhythm games.
Yeah, same on my end too. I have a fighting game on my my honorable mentions list. But it's like not a traditional fighting game. But I do have a fighting game on my list for my top 5.
Right. So for me, it was too difficult to figure out. I always rack my brain trying to figure out where to put, Capcom versus SNK 2. Where do I put Street Fighter 2? Where do I put Street Fighter 4?
Yeah.
Where do I put, all these games in relation to these other games that mean a lot to me? It's easier to just segment them and, keep them on their own list. So that's kind of why I did what I did. So here we go. Third time's the charm. Please make sure that everything's recording and is actually playing back.
I hear everything's going. The record button is on, and we're recording through OBS this time just because I'm sure you guys can tell. Jeff's using the crunchiest mic of all time here.
I have my Bluetooth headphones in. I'm happy I at least brought them. Otherwise, it would have been even worse.
This sounds like an Xbox microphone, straight up, bro. I love it.
That's okay. I know. Nothing says 1 year of Party XP than me recording on a $25 Bluetooth headset.
I think it just adds to the charm of how we actually try to make this podcast happen as much as we possibly can.
Right. And imagine what's going to start happening when we start charging you for this or start putting ads in these things.
Exactly.
You're going to get what you pay for.
I mean, we tried our best to up the production value over time, and I think we've done a pretty good job of it. And we've been doing as much as we can in terms of how we actually try to make the show happen. Because obviously, again, we both live regular lives outside of this podcast as much as we want to to make this our full-time gig, but we have to make compromises wherever we can to make the show happen. And again, it's also this is like a passion project. We want to do this show.
Right. Exactly. So what better way to prove that than to record this in, my sister-in-law's bedroom with a pair of Bluetooth headphones?
Hey, this is our third attempt at this point. We are trying our hardest to make this episode happen.
In a minute, I was just going to put it in Morse code and put it out there into the ether. Not even put it on the main feed. Just put it somewhere. I don't even know where. Put it on a paste bin or something.
Yeah,
and that would have been the second episode, right? Okay, all right. So without further ado, I'm going to get into my OLIs because I recall that I had a few more than you. There was also a little bit of overlap with some of my OLIs and some of the games on your list here. So let me rifle through a few here. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to start with two of my very much beloved action RPGs, Fable 2 and Kingdoms of Amalur. If you haven't already listened to it, you can check out the Kingdoms of Amalur episode where I go through how much I love this game and how much it changed gaming for me. Fable 2 is also on here. I kind of lumped them together because they are both action RPGs, and I probably have 200 hours played between both of them. So, I love these games so much. I also have Super Meat Boy, which another game that really took to me, and Super Mario World. So those are kind of two platformers. I do have a third platformer on this list, but we're going to talk about it on your list, if I recall correctly, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Okay.
So obviously Super Meat Boy kind of revolutionized platformers. I love platformers. You'll see that on my top 5 list. Super Mario World as well, a game that I have tons of hours. It's a game that I go back to pretty regularly between the music, the gameplay, the level design. It's a really fantastic Mario game. It's obviously one of my top 3, maybe, probably Mario games, I'd say. Mm. And, really obviously love this game. Another game that tugs at my heartstrings. I've talked about it, I think, at least once or twice on this podcast, is the NES game Kung Fu.
Yeah.
I love this game. And for whatever reason, I love Kung Fu. I love this game. It's one of my big 2 NES games with ice hockey, but I said no sports games, so I didn't put it on here. Kung Fu is one of the 2 games that I will always gravitate towards for NES. I don't know what it is. That opening jingle. Yeah,
exactly.
And just the simplistic gameplay of just going and I don't know, man. It's just the game that stuck with me. It was one of the first games that I had with my NES. I'll always love it. So that's kind of why it's on here. And lastly, I've spent too much time playing these games to not include them, but Warcraft 3 and the Frozen Throne, and then of course Wrath of the Lich King and World of Warcraft. My favorite World of Warcraft expansion, the game that I go back to and play quite often. I even rigged up a connection to a private server to play Wrath of the Lich King.
Oh wow!
I played WoW Classic. Yeah, I mean it's just my favorite expansion of this game that I've spent so much time playing. And the game that got me into World of Warcraft, obviously, was Warcraft 3 with the Frozen Throne expansion. Mm-hmm. Just lots of good times, lots of good memories.
Yeah, that's a solid list. Like all the games on there are games that I've played a majority of these games as well too. Also, again, just agree that they're good games in general. Yep. The Kung Fu thing, yeah, I'm on the same boat with you. It's one of those things that whenever I hook up my NES or one of my the modernized emulator console, right? The one that you have to plug the actual cartridge into to play it. It's right. One of those things I'm gonna find this thing and pop it in myself as well too, so I can actually get some time on it. I haven't beaten it still, even as a grown ass man. I haven't gotten back to it in a while, so I should probably go actually back and play it. Because as a kid,
I did beat it as a grown man. I did beat it as a grown man. Just sheer will and determination. I ended up beating it, and having a background in fighting games didn't hurt either. Try learning footsies with the boss and everything. It didn't hurt.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But so those are my OLIs. There are 2 games on here that I think are going to cross over with yours. Mm-hmm. So if you'd like to get into your OLI, your honorable mentions, and then once you bring up yours, I'll jump in with my games in the same universe.
Yeah. Just hop in whenever I bring it up. Okay. So the first game, so again, all of my mentions and all of my top 5 are in no particular order. I'm just going to go from the top of my list here. I have Super Smash Brothers series, specifically Brawl. I know this is a bit of a contentious game for a lot of people, but for me and like our crew of friends, like this is the game that we all spent a lot of time on, especially like really getting into this game because like, you know, this was like around like the end of high school for us, right? Or like into early college. We had a lot more free time to play video games, and this is the game in the series specifically, the one that got me into playing competitively. I remember getting to a point in Melee and Brawl where I decided it was time to reach outside of my comfort zone and out of our circle of friends to start playing people I've never played against before in person. This is a really, really big game for me. Again, I know a lot of people like didn't like Brawl. It changed the gameplay a lot between Brawl and Melee, but this game specifically is like a really, really big part of why I started playing games even like slightly competitively. It's like starting to go to in-person tournaments and trying stuff out, basically. For the next game on my list here, I have the Halo series, specifically 3 and Reach. I know a lot of people love Halo 2, but I didn't have good enough internet, especially at the time, to really play Halo 2. I didn't have Xbox Live on the Xbox for Halo 2, but by the time 3 came out, and even more so Reach on the 360, I had Xbox Live. We were all really kind of in that, like, you know, ecosystem of playing games, multiplayer online, and just this is the one that like I just had the most fun in this, like in those two specifically out of the Halo series.
Yeah, so I'm going to cut in here because Halo 2 was on my OLIs, and you know what? Because we recorded this episode multiple times, I also put Halo Reach on my OLI because you talk about two games that profoundly, you know, you talk about these games that impact you, right? And this is a favorite games list. And, you know, I talked about it quite a bit when we talked about Reach last time, and I'll talk about it here now. I still get goosebumps from the last mission of the Reach campaign. So if you've never played Reach, or if you haven't played it in a while, the final mission of the campaign sees your entire fire team die. You play as Noble Six, one of the last Spartans. All your other teammates, all your friends are dead. It's you and wave after wave of the Covenant, and the mission subtitle just tells you to survive.
Yeah.
And when I replayed this game on the Master Chief Collection a couple months ago, it still gave me goosebumps to see just the word survive down there. For me, Halo 2 was also a big thing because I did have the early Xbox Live for Capcom versus SNK 2. So I had a Halo 2 on Xbox Live, and that was kind of the first place where I kind of learned how to play games online, to interact with other players and you know, work together. And also it really helped me learn how to talk shit. So I got really good at talking shit on Halo 2 and fucking with people in there. So I will always love Halo 2 for that. Halo 2 is also just a bitchin' campaign. It's got one of the best campaigns. Again, you talk about the final mission where you're driving through and it has the, you know, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, the classic Halo theme as leaving the what is it, the Halo or the
Halo itself, I believe. I think it was.
Yeah. And I mean, that's another one that I need to go back and play. I was in the middle of playing Halo 1 and then, you know, baby happened.
Yeah.
So I was trying to go back and play them all, but, you know, life got in the way. Hopefully, you know, I can get back to them pretty soon. But I will just always love Halo 2. Actually, it's funny. You mentioned Halo 3. I didn't have that much of an attachment to 3 for whatever reason. I don't know. I missed it, I guess. I don't know. But I'm happy to hear that, you know, Halo's on your list somewhere.
With Reach specifically, there is also that section where like because I know like, you know, all of the Halos had like a competitive like online multiplayer kind of deal, right? It was a casual and like ranked whatever or competitive list. But in Reach for me is where it clicked because they had the game mode, specifically Arena, right? That was their ranked mode where you know, me and the guys, you know, occasionally you'd hop in with us as well too, where we would do the arena with, you know, no motion sensor, only the human weapons were on the map, and we like learned the weapon timings and the map rotations and how to properly swing gunfights into our favor. It's like a big thing of this game was like learning how to team fight properly, right? Especially in a shooter versus like, you know, games at the time, you know, like COD, right? You know, like just trying to pub stomp and just being like a one-man army, you know, lone wolf it out kind of deal. This game got us to play a lot more focused and actually like learn how to play an arena shooter in the first place. So that kind of just leads into why, again, this game is so important to me and like, you know, so impactful to me, especially growing up and, you know, into like my early adulthood basically for this game. Next game I've got on my list here is League of Legends. Probably the game that I put the most time into. Jeff introduced me to this game.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. This was my main game for like 9 to 10 years. Jeff got me into this game around season 2 or so. I want to say like Ari and Victor were still new at the time. I never got super good at it, but I can just think of like an endless trove of like good memories and bad playing this game. I've got like clips on my computer still from when I was playing this game, and because when Jeff got me into this game, I had just gotten back into PC gaming. I was still using my old PC, which was not great at the time. I was playing like, Counter-Strike Source, like Age of Empires, kind of just like really easy games for my computer to run. And this happened to be a game that I could run as well too. It also allowed me to play like, pretty fun multiplayer at the time. And the game was free to play. Perfect timing because I was also in college. So I was a broke college kid, like most of us were. And I could just like dump like hours into this game. And then it's funny because I want to say a couple months later, Jeff ended up falling off of this game anyway. And basically, I ended up playing this by myself, or not by myself, but I ended up having to find like other people to play with. And I got to a regular play cycle with my church friends. But yeah, like this game was again like 9 to 10 years or so. I dumped into this game, probably the game I put the most time into altogether. I want to say of all the games that I've ever played.
Well, you know what knocked me off of League of Legends? I'm just thinking of the timing. I think Street Fighter. Yeah, I think like Super Street Fighter 4 knocked me off of League of Legends.
Yeah, that makes sense for you because that's also around the time I started getting back into Street Fighter as well. But like League of Legends was like just like the comfort game for me. You know what I mean? I could just like hop online. There's 5 of us all together on a team, and we would just hop onto Raid Call or TeamSpeak or whatever whatever we were using at the time. Maybe even XSplit at one point or Xfire, and then. Of course, Discord later down the line, but like, we can just sit there. It would kind of be like the background game while we're just playing stuff. You know what I mean? Like we just have full on conversations while we're playing this game. Next game I got on my list is technically 2 games: is Mega Man 2 and Mega Man X4. These are 2 of my favorite Mega Man games. 2 was the first one I ever played since we owned it. As a kid, we had an NES and stuff. And the first one I ever beat, I want to say I was like 11 or 13, it was somewhere between 11 to 13 when I first beat it. I can still beat it to this day. Like it's like the game that like I remember when I got the Mega Man Legacy Collection is like the first one I hopped into and immediately started like speed running through Bubble Man stage. Awesome soundtrack too. X4, while not likely the first of the series that I played, of the X series that I played, it was the first one I was aware of playing because like I'm sure when I was a kid I probably borrowed the Mega Man X1, 2, or 3 from like Pathmark. I know that's a very weird statement to say, but Pathmark used to rent out games alongside Blockbuster and West Coast Video.
Which is like a wild thing, I think, for some of us.
Yeah, very, very. It's a strange sentence even for me to say now, like looking back on it. But we used to borrow them for like a week or whatever, right, and play the games. And maybe I might play the other ones, but like, this is the first one I was like sure we played because. Well, one, we own it, and it was on PS1, which was like again like a large chunk of like my gaming, experiences growing up was mostly on PS1 and PS2. But we owned X4 and we played the hell out of it, and again, probably like one of my favorite Mega Man games of all time. And I know it gets memed on a lot, mostly because of the anime cutscenes.
Hell yeah,
yeah. But like again, the music slaps in this game. It's still just as hard. And I was mostly an X player. My brother Gabe was the 0 player of us 2, and we would just take turns basically playing both of the characters.
Yeah, I played 0. X4 was actually I think X4 might actually have been the first Mega Man that I ever played. And really? I didn't even play as X. I played as 0 the whole time. Yep. That's
really late. That's wild because like again, that's PS1 at that point. That's crazy.
I know. I missed them. I don't know. You know what it was? My cousins never had them on NES. So when I got the NES as the hand-me-down, I just went off of what they had. Gotcha. Between the Super Nintendo and the regular Nintendo, they didn't have Mega Man. Okay. So, like, all of my stuff was influenced by that. So I missed Mega Man until X4, and then, I don't know, I don't remember. I just remember seeing it at Blockbuster. I rented it, and then I saw the cool red guy with the sword, and then I saw the dragon that shot Hadoukens and Shoryukens. And I was like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, then the fact that one of your abilities actually straight up a Shoryuken.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
So yeah, no, I love X4 as well.
Yeah, fantastic game. I actually just got another copy of it recently. I got one with a not destroyed jewel case and the manual and all that stuff. I got my hands on it. And I put it right next to the old beat up copy that we've had for years at this point.
I should probably beat that. I'm on Sigma. I should probably beat that one of these days. I'm on Sigma.
The Sigma fight is like pretty rough. Like even like, you know, as a kid, yeah, the game's like hard, you know, it's hard, right? But like I played now as an adult, like my hands cramp. Like
yeah, you know what it is too? I'm playing it on the Switch Anniversary Collection or whatever it is, the X Anniversary Collection. Yeah. The Switch hardware is not ideal for the tightness that you need in these Mega Man games. Like if I could play this with an Xbox or a PlayStation controller, I'd be much happier, but it is what it is.
There are converters for it, so let me know if you want to borrow one. I can grab you a converter for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, like
one of these days.
Yeah, one of these days when we're actually free to like, you know, actually interact in person again. Even last week when we got the chance to record this in person, it was still like rough. Like we had a very short window to actually make it happen in the first place. Again, life comes at you fast. Next game I got on my list is Titanfall 2. I'm sure that I've mentioned it before how much I love Apex Legends. Titanfall 2 is in the same universe, and that's basically what Apex Legends is. It's Titanfall Light, basically. Move fast, shoot fast. The pinnacle of movement shooters, honestly. I love the series. The game is probably one of the best shooters I've ever played, period. This is the game that like really brought me into like movement shooters in the first place. Wall running, grappling hooks, fighting in giant mechs and rodeo riding them. It's just perfection. And, you know, like, also, like, you know, aside from being, like, a really fun arcade shooter, there's giant fucking robots in it. Like, you know, Jeff and I are big fans of Gundam. So, like, we also, like, oh, you're telling me, like, I can, like, hop in and hop out of this, like, giant mech and fight alongside it, basically, or hop in and pilot it myself? Yeah, this is great. This is amazing. And I can just, like, punch humans and they just explode when I hit them. But, yeah, like, Titanfall's great. It's funny because actually there's this apparently I was reading it online and I saw a video recently. There is a bit of a resurgence in the more casual community to movement shooters. Like apparently a lot of people are kind of like changing their minds a little bit on like what is it Call of Duty Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare, whatever it's called. The ones that were like the, you know, again kind of like the wall running COD games. Before people didn't like them, and then Titanfall 2 came out and people liked that, but it was kind of buried between a COD game and a Battlefield game. But now people are kind of like changing their minds and they're, you know, having a bit of a change of heart on the movement shooter COD games, basically. So it's kind of cool. Black Ops 3, I think was also another one too that had the wall running mechanics. But yeah, so it's cool to see a lot more people kind of coming back into movement shooter, like, you know, kind of liking them again. I think it's time.
Yeah.
I think it's time for a movement shooter to properly like actually grab the public's attention.
Yeah, I played the crap out of the first one. I don't know. I missed the second one. I don't know what happened. I missed the second one, but I played a lot of the first one, and I really dug it. Obviously, like you mentioned, I'm into giant robots. I think what ended up happening was there were just more Gundam games that came out and that like came stateside.
Yeah,
so it was like, well, I'll just play the Gundam games whenever I'm not playing a fighting game or an MMO RPG or, you know, trying to survive corporate life and all that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll get around to maybe having you trying out Titanfall 2, the campaign at least. Have you never played the Titanfall 2 campaign?
I did. I played the Titanfall campaign. It's great.
Yeah, so Titanfall 2 specifically. Okay, yeah, there we go. Because Titanfall 1 didn't have a campaign, which was weird. But Titanfall 2...
It had like a multiplayer campaign, if you remember. Yeah. It was the weird thing like that, where you could play the campaign and regardless of what happened, the story progressed.
Very weird because I know there's also like a point where like you couldn't progress unless you unless you played it back then where the servers were still active, right? But like now essentially you can't finish the game now because of the fact that the servers are essentially dead.
Yeah.
Which is very unfortunate. Next game we got on my list here, Sonic 2. I realize now I don't have any notes from Sonic 2 still. We talked about it last week. I still haven't put anything on there. But like I don't know, like do I need to explain anything about Sonic 2? Like it's awesome.
I don't think so.
Yeah, right. I personally think Sonic 2 is better than Sonic 3. I know I'm gonna get hate from at least one of our friends or at least one of our two of our friends for saying that. But yeah, Sonic 2. Like I don't know, man. Sonic 2 is just a really tight platforming game. It's really you just go fast, and then of course the actual slow down a little bit and play it like a proper platformer, right? But like the music in this game is iconic. Emerald Hill Zone, Chemical Plant Zone is like awesome, amazing.
Banger.
Casino Zone is also very good. I remember at one point when I was at work, I had a 10-hour loop of Chemical Plant Zone playing on the work computer, just plugged into the speakers. And like one of my coworkers would come see me in the beginning of the shift, and then like kind of walk away, and then realize a couple hours later come back and like, oh, you're still listening to this? I'm like, yes, I am. It's a 10-hour loop. I'm gonna listen to this the whole day basically. But yeah, that's really it for Sonic 2. Just a solid game, probably one of my favorite platformers of all time. And then I got two more games here, both shooters. One is Rainbow Six Vegas. And I guess 2 as well too with that, right? But decent Link campaign, and then my brother and I played played the hell out of the co-op of this game, because it was a cover shooter. Kind of felt tactical. You get like rappel and stuff. You know what I mean? Like you get to like do all the cool SWAT shit. You know what I mean? Like you always like wanted to do, especially if you were a gun fan like I am, and like my brother and I both are. Yeah, it's just like a really fun tactical cover shooter basically. And then on the opposite side of that is the Gears of War series. So Vegas was the tactical cover shooter. Gears was the action cover shooter, right? Wall bouncing and Nasher fights and active reloading. One of the best mechanics ever in video games. Yeah, like just I love this game. I love how it's just big, beefy men slapping into walls, and and like really strong, powerful women as well too, going in there with Nashers and Lancers and stuff, and also killing shit as well.
Yeah, I played a butt ton of this game. I can't believe I forgot. This is probably on my like OOLI. But I love these games. At least the first 3. I love them so much.
Yeah, that's perfectly fair. The first 2 was obviously the main game of the series and what most people played. I know a lot of people dropped off around Judgment, and then 4 and 5 are kind of like mixed-ish to positive reviews, right? But like, yeah, right. Like my brother and I remember a year or 2 ago, my brother and I both got back into 5, and we just kind of like went online and started smacking the hell out of people, which is wild because the people who are still playing this game, at least 5 anyway, are people who never stopped playing it. So Gabe and I clearly still got it. That's the thing I was really happy to see about. So I guess that's the end of my list here. We're going to go ahead and hop on into the our personal top 5s. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
I think you should start because there's a game on your top 5 that was on my OLI. Okay,
cool. So I guess let's go from, again, technically this is no particular order. Actually, because of the conversation we had last week when we first recorded this show, I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my technically what is my top game, because of sheer amount of information that I like dumped into it and how passionate I was talking about it, and Jeff had to point it out to me.
Yeah.
Legend of Dragoon. That's just like, I guess my top game of all time.
Okay.
So this is the first turn-based RPG I ever beat. I started playing this in the Philippines, like, I never got around to finishing it. Played it more when I was a little bit older here, when I was, back stateside, because we buy like, games in the Philippines, like, and then bring them back home and play them here. This is like one of my favorite turn-based RPGs. I really enjoyed the clusterfuck that this game happened to be. The addition system in this game is one of the coolest mechanics in any RPG I've ever played, and it hasn't really been done in the same manner ever since from what I've seen. Like, there's 2 games that have kind of done something similar to it.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, but like the 2 that I can think of are Steven Universe Attack the Light, where you basically press on the screen at the same time that a star shows up as your weapon makes contact with an enemy, and Chris Tales, which is another RPG that came out relatively recently, where same thing. As soon as your weapon makes contact with the enemy, you get an extra hit. But in Legend of Dragoon, there's a full-on like timed combo, like almost like a rhythm game kind of deal, where you can change out and swap out your whatever attack essentially you're using before you prep everything before the fight, right? But once you get into an encounter, whatever you had locked in, that's the combo that each individual character is using. There's each individual character has a completely different timed combo, and you change your gameplay around that, because like some give you more Dragoon points, which lets you go into your Dragoon form. Some are just regular, some give less kind of deal, but do more damage kind of thing. So it depends on however you want to do it. And
what other game does this?
What?
South Park? You can't escape. I know. No, but the South Park games do this too, and you can like customize, quote unquote, customize your combo. So you can do like a light attack, and a heavy attack. A light attack, a heavy attack, and a fart powered attack.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So there are other games that have done this, and I feel like it's good because it keeps you kind of engaged with the game. It's not just menuing and watching the action unfold. You're actually actively participating in the battles, which is fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Because my issue with a lot of RPGs, I mean, even nowadays, right? I understand that there's a lot more. They're very like system heavy, right? A lot of RPGs are. Persona does a very good job of doing so because like it's very stylized, so you don't feel like you're, reading through an anime spreadsheet. But that's basically what turn-based RPGs are, right? At least how I see them nowadays. But because every combat you're constantly doing that rhythmic combo system, it makes it so you have to stay engaged the entire time. And another really cool thing that this game does that I don't see a lot of other games doing, but it's cool. I just like having the idea of more mechanics, to make you do that make your character do stuff is blocking or guarding in this game. Because guarding heals you in this game for a bit of your health, around 10%, I believe, and also reduces damage by 50% for one turn, which is pretty standard. That part's pretty standard for most RPGs that have a guard mechanic, right? But the fact that it healed you for 10% is really cool because you can get into a fight, find yourself in a really shitty position, and still be able to like heal yourself for a couple turns when the enemy's only hitting one of your characters basically. And like again, I just like the idea. I just like games in general with additional uses for actions. And the only other game that comes to mind with an active guard mechanic like this is Wild Arms, where your character would reload their weapon as well as whenever you guarded, because that was like a Western style game, right? The style of it was anyway. And again, just like really, really good game. It was confusing. If you ever look at the history of this game, it's very weird in terms of how why the story goes so off the rails towards the second half of this game. A lot of people called it a Final Fantasy VII knockoff early on, but it really doesn't have much in common aside from being a turn-based RPG. And I think it's better than Final Fantasy VII, and I think like that's just because like that's the one that everyone kind of gravitated to. But I think if in another world, this one's way bigger than Final Fantasy VII. We actually would have gotten a Legend Dragoon too. And again, a lot of turn-based RPGs at the time tended to fall apart towards the end. But I think that like even though the story does take a weird turn, it actually ramps up the drama and the tension of the story, where I feel more invested because even though it gets kind of weird. But yeah, that's all I've got for Legend of Dragoon. Let's go. You want to go into hop into one of your first games then?
Yeah, so I went 5-1. I ranked them all.
Okay, so you actually ranked.
So sorry, yeah, I'm gonna go backwards here. So my number 5 is the first Donkey Kong Country. I love platformers and I love Donkey Kong, and so a platforming game where you play as Donkey Kong is going to rank pretty highly on my list here. This is one of the first games where I remember getting stuck on a level, and I think I've talked about it before too, where I was stuck on the Chemcroc Industries level forever as like a kid. Yeah. And then when I went back and played this as an adult, I beat it. I shattered it. I burst through the ceiling, and I discovered that there was another world past Chemcroc Industries, and I had no idea. But I remember that feeling of pride, right, when you finally beat this level that has been your foil for so long. Mm-hmm. It made me feel great. And I mean, you talk about this game, the level design, the music, the gameplay, how tight everything is. I mean, there are games now, including even the most recent Donkey Kong games, like the Return series, that don't feel as tight and as responsive as these games felt, man. And I can go back, and I often do, between this one and a certain other game that we'll get to a little later on my list here. I'll go back and play these annually at this point. That's how much I love these games, and how much I can replay them and still love them so much.
Yeah, that's the big point with the Chemcroc Industries in the first place as well too, right? This game is like almost like unfairly difficult for a child, right? When especially back in the day where like video games were like aimed directly specifically at children, right? It's a children's activity kind of deal. It's like, how the hell are we supposed to beat this?
Yeah, I know. And I mean, apparently it wasn't, I mean, it might have just been me not being able to figure it out, and other kids did, but still, this was like a formative thing in my life when I finally was able. I went back as like a teenager. I went back and I beat this game start to finish, and it felt great. And I still routinely go back and beat this game start to finish. it is one of my beloved games. You talk about comfort games, right? You talk about a game that makes you feel good, that you can always pick up and feel good. Donkey Kong Country 1 is one of those games for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I can also like throw this on like my list of like comfort games as well too. I absolutely get you. But yeah, solid, absolutely great game as well. And then again, very very tight. Like I know a lot of people say like this game feels a little weird, but like I don't know. I love the way that game just feels in general.
I do too. I don't know what it is, but I love the way it plays, and I love the way all the country games play.
Yeah.
But
do you want to do another one, or do you want me to go straight back to me?
Oh, we can snake it if you want.
Yeah,
sure.
Let's snake
I'll
that
go.
then.
So for me, number 4 is another game that we've covered on the podcast, a really great episode that you can go back and listen to, and that's Doom 2016 and by proxy Doom Eternal.
Hell yeah.
So for me, I had to put both games on the list because while Doom 2016 was the game that kind of changed the way that I approached video games and video game design, and what I kind of figured out was a well-designed game and really revolutionized the way that I play shooters, Doom Eternal's better. So like I had to put Doom Eternal on here too, just because like Doom is my favorite because of what it did for me, but Eternal is objectively better in my eyes. So I kind of had to put them both on here. It also helps that the games are fucking awesome. Yeah. And I mean, you talk about sound design, you talk about music, you talk about gameplay. These games are as close to, I don't know if they're perfect, but they're perfect for what they're trying to do. And everything kind of comes together to create this really superb package of a video game. So for me, like I have to put these games on here. I love them so much. They are the gold standard of first person, at least single player shooters for me. And I think any game that is trying to reboot, I would love to have seen like Duke Nukem go through a revolution like this, and like Unreal Tournament and like a lot of those old boomer shooters go through a revival like this. Wolfenstein was great. Please go play the Wolfenstein games. I think that's something that was on our list for a long time.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do that at some point. Eventually. The Wolfenstein games are great. These are even better.
Okay. So you rank these over the Wolfenstein games then?
Yeah, and I really enjoyed the Wolfenstein games. They're just, I don't know if I'd call them better, but they're better at executing their goals, I think. And it's different. The Wolfenstein games, the new ones, are story driven. There's a narrative. There are characters that you get invested in, that you learn to try to care about with like an end goal. In this, granted, there are like, you do have an end goal. There's not a lot of focus on, emotional attachments to the characters in Doom. You're just kind of fucking shit up, right?
Yeah.
So I think, I like I said, I don't know if it's better. I just think it's better at executing its game plan.
Yeah.
And the game plans are pretty different, but not all that different, because I mean, there's still that level of brutality in Wolfenstein, and you're killing Nazis.
Yeah.
So there's an added level to that. But like, I don't know, for whatever reason, for me, the Doom games stuck with me. I could probably put Wolfenstein on my like an OOLI. It may have just missed OLI just because it's been so long since I've replayed them. But I think for me, as far as a single player shooter that is looking to execute its game plan, there is none that does it better than Doom 2016. And then by proxy, Doom Eternal, which takes that core Doom 2016 gameplay and improves it even more by adding the grappling mechanics. And it's just so good. I can't. You're gonna have to play it one of these weeks. Like you're gonna have to play it. It's so good.
Absolutely. We've been talking about it before, and we'll absolutely make it a point to get it on the episode so I can actually talk about it with you. Okay, so for me, next game on my list, again, I'm in no particular order on my end anyway. Next game I've got here is Shovel Knight, and I think this might be my favorite platformer of all time. I know that's a big statement.
Okay.
There's a lot of really, really good platformers that I've played in my entire life. There's, everyone's always got their favorite, right? But this is like my personal favorite platformer of all time. I know I've mentioned before on the Spelunky episode how close to a perfect game that game is, and I love the difficulty of Super Meat Boy. But something about this game being like a modernized retro game, like the aesthetic, the shovel weaponry, the way it treated expansions and opened up new nights for the DLCs, like the fact that because I bought this game and then I bought it on Steam, then like the DLCs came out afterwards and they just gave it to you for free. was like a big point for why I spent so much time playing this series in general. Again, technically Shovel Knight the game, and then they just gave out DLCs, so it's just technically one main game. But like, yeah, I love this game. It's got like, the movement very similar to like Mega Man, right? But then your movement is let's say like not amplified, but like I guess it gets expanded upon depending on which character you're playing. Like Shovel Knight can bounce off stuff with shovel, and Plague Knight can kind of hover when he throws bombs, and then Spectre Knight, can slash through lanterns and in like forward diagonal directions, and then King Knight with the shoulder tackle and the spin jump to bounce off enemies. It's just so cool how it treats again, like basically being like a love letter to like that 16-bit platformer, like SNES platformer. Basically, it feels super tight, very good platforming, and there's like a big risk reward system, which I really appreciate in this game. So like the checkpoints, there are checkpoints in every level, right? But you can either break the checkpoint for more money, or actually just regularly use the checkpoint, which is really, really cool. Again, I like when there are additional uses for some of these like video game mechanics we already know about, basically, and adding more onto it with or giving you the option to do something else with it as well is like a very, very big sticking point for me. And again, if somebody told me that this game came out in the the late stage of that 16-bit era, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I genuinely wouldn't be.
This game's been on my list for a decade.
Too long,
probably
too long. Basically, then
I know. I don't know. I just never got around to it. Now that we own it,
yeah,
the royal we. It's probably about time eventually that I play this game, because I acknowledge how great it is. I just need to actually play it. Like, I've watched gameplay of it.
Yeah,
I know it's awesome. Mm-hmm. I just haven't. I don't know, whatever reason, I just didn't do it. So I'm gonna have to wrong that right. Right that wrong.
Absolutely, because it's again, this game, because like how big this game is also like wild to me. Like the fact that Shovel Knight is acknowledged in like Nintendo properties. You know what I mean? Like there's an amiibo of Shovel Knight. Like
he's in Smash.
He's in Smash. Like, he's not a character, but he's in Smash. It's wild.
He's the assist trophy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he came out on the 3DS, I believe. I think that's when it first came. I think that's when it first came out on. I think it was one of the first.
I think you're right. I think it was like Steam and 3DS. Yeah.
Yeah, which is like, again, like wild. It's like that was a lot of people's first introduction to Shovel Knight. But like, yeah, like it's crazy how big this game is and how big Yacht Club Games became because of it, right? Like, there's like 2 spin-off games now, and I think I heard a third one's coming out as well too down the line. And then they've got another game coming out, another property coming out from Yacht Club Games later this year or next year, I believe, Mina the Hollower. Yeah, it's just like, it's insane how big this game got and how big this property got. And just, again, I love this whole series basically at this point. I played the hell out of Shovel Knight Dig, which is basically like a roguelike of Shovel Knight. It's just like, yeah, it's just more Shovel Knight. Like, why wouldn't I play it? You know what I mean?
Right.
But if I want, but if it's like if I just want like the more tightly curated, not one session, because it is a pretty long game. But if I wanted the more curated, like, linear gameplay of it, then yeah, I'll play the OG one. I've beaten Shovel Knight and all the DLCs already, at least twice at this point now. Like, I love this game series.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, go ahead.
For sure. No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I think for our generation, we grew up in like that golden age of platformers, right? So when a good platformer comes out, we recognize it pretty easily.
Yeah.
And I think that, and especially when a game developer comes out with a platformer who grew up in that same golden era, I think we as gamers in our age bracket kind of pick that up too. So again, it's something that I really need to get to, because I know this game is great and I know I'm going to love it.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited to see what you think of when you finally get your hands on this game. So sure. Let's see. Next game for me, for snaking it, I've got a fighting game on my list. I know we talked about it before. For me, Tekken 3. This is the game where I started actually learning how to play fighting games properly. I went from a button masher to actually understanding spacing and punishing and like 3D movement mechanics, right? Like going to the foreground and background kind of thing. I'm nowhere near competent anymore because I shifted most of my focus to 2D fighting games. I'm in that space now as of the last couple of years. And again, that started around that Street Fighter 4 era, basically. But this game has definitely set the groundwork for me as a fighting game enthusiast or fan. I just have a lot of memories as well of this game where, like, because we had it on PS1, and I also when I first got my hands on Tekken 3 in the ever was actually at a local pizza spot that no longer exists, I believe now, called Pizza which was attached to the Pathmark near us.
Yo, R.I.P. Pizza Ed.
Yo, for real. But yeah, I remember like, you know, my brother and I, like, we're like, oh, we're having pizza night? Okay, cool. Can we get a couple quarters, you know, so we can go ahead and play some, you know, because my parents would always, like, we would go there, they'd order the pizza there, we would hang out for a little bit, you know, my parents would go shopping in the Pathmark for the groceries, and my brother and I would just be, like, babysat by the arcade cabinet, basically, and we'd spend, like, $5 just playing Tekken. Because, you know, like, once one of us loses, one of us has to pop another quarter in. So we played a lot of that. And also in the Menlo Park Mall Arcade, also rest in peace to that place as well.
Yo.
It's just like, I remember the feeling of, like, because I had gotten decent at this game as a kid. I remember the feeling of being like, you know, being in the arcade is terrifying when you're a kid, right?
Yes, it is.
Because, you know, the first time you would put your quarter on the arcade machine, you know what I mean, to call next, and I was, you know, me as, you know, like a little kid, be like, I'd like the next round, please, you know, like, you know,
right.
While they're like, you know, I say adults, but they're probably just like teenagers, right? They're actually not that much older than us, but, you know, like, being there and, like, really putting yourself to play against a rando, not just your sibling or your close friends, right, playing a game. Really big for me, and the fact that, again, I could actually take, you know, rounds and occasional matches off of, like, the older kids basically playing this game who were more cognizant of how the games actually play, and again, like, just very early as well for me being, like, an enthusiast for fighting games in general.
Yeah, Tekken 3 is one of my beloved games too. It was, you know, the game I brought home with my PS1. It was that and WCW versus the World, right?
Oh, really? It was a take-home game for you?
Yeah, no. So I believe Tekken 3 was like a launch title with the PS1, or it came out very early in that life cycle. But I remember bringing that game home because obviously Jin looked really cool on the cover and there weren't any Street Fighter games. So I was like, all right, Tekken. I remember Tekken 2 being in the arcade. We used to have a Fuddruckers on Route 22 in New Jersey. And attached to the Fuddruckers was a Popeyes. And the Popeyes had Tekken 2. The Popeyes had the better arcade.
Ah, okay. No, I've never been to the.
So
never been to the Fuddruckers when it was on 22. So I would have had no idea, basically.
Yep. So they had a Tekken 2 machine. So I remember Tekken being like a thing, but I never really played it until, you know, I brought Tekken 3 home, and that was, again, one of the first games where it's like, because I had only played Street Fighter prior to playing Tekken. I mean, I was only like 7 when Tekken 3 came out, right? So it was like a whole new world, and having to go through the move sets and discovering things. My first dog's name was King, so I played as King in Tekken 3. That's before, like, I settled on, like, Kazuya and Paul as my Tekken characters. But I remember being able to execute, like, the Frankensteiner with King was like the biggest deal of my life. And I didn't have to do any quarter circles. I just hit down, forward, and then I think it was like, in Tekken notation, you know, you have 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think it was like 1 and 4, or yeah, I was like square and circle on the PS1 pad, and I was like, whoa, you can do this whole move with just hitting a couple buttons, and I that was it. Like, and then I was like hooked on Tekken. You know, I played a lot of 3. We played a lot of 4. You actually were the only. I never bought 4. You were the one that had 4.
Yeah.
So we played a fuck ton of 4. I remember.
Yeah, like,
and then
go ahead.
No, and then I was going to say I stopped playing Tekken until 6. I skipped 5 and Dark Resurrection, and then I played a lot of 6 because my friends from college played Tekken. Gotcha. And then the Tekken game that I think I played the most of was Tekken Tag 2, and I played a butt ton of Tekken Tag 2 because that's what they were into. So we played a lot of that, and then. Obviously 7 came out when I was like trying to be an adult, so it was a little more difficult to play a lot of 7, which sucks because Paul was really good at 7. So I probably should have played more 7, but I didn't. But 3 started all of that for me, just like I think it did for you.
Yeah, and like again, 3 also started like the Tekken Ball mode, right? Do you remember that one? Like there's like a volleyball mode, specifically volleyball, and then the one where you like use the ball as a projectile to hit your enemy. You know what I mean? Like that was a fun that was, I think, and then they also had the Tekken Force mode, which
I think this was the first Tekken Force game.
Yeah, which had some sort of iteration in every game going forward. So again, like there's a lot to play in this game. Like if you just got tired of playing against your brother, playing with your friends, you had more stuff to do even if you're playing by yourself, basically. And yeah, like Tekken 4.
And that started.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was going to say, and that started the chicken meme.
Oh yeah, exactly. The chicken, which sounded very crunchy and sounded like Tekken when you heard it anyway.
Right when you're playing Tekken Force. But I remember beating Tekken Force because I think you had to beat Tekken Force. I think to get Dr. Bosanovich, Dr. B.
I think so. I think that was how you unlocked Dr. B.
You had to beat Tekken Force against somebody in Tekken 3. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, because Gon you unlocked doing something else. I don't remember how to unlock Gon now.
I think it was Tekken Ball.
Was it that? Oh, you're right. Yeah. There we go. So yeah, like again, the cool way to just unlock other characters by putting them in the side missions. You know what I mean? Which I'm sure some people didn't like, but us as kids being like, yeah, this is great. We get to experience more game. You know what I mean? Aside from just the main game that everyone else was focusing on. And yeah, like Tekken 4 followed up for me. I fell off a little bit around Tekken 5. I was still playing it, but not a whole lot. 6, I was kind of completely off the grid for, and then 7, I've gotten back into recently. And again, I said before, like I haven't played as much of Tekken 7, but the foundation's still there. Like I can still go in and actually beat people. Especially even a couple months ago when I was playing it, I was like, okay, let me see how I actually do, and I beat 2 people who were like higher ranked than me. I just jumped straight into the ranked mode basically, and I beat 2 people, and then I got whooped by somebody else afterwards. But the fact that I was able to beat people who are higher rank, even after not playing this game for a while, it's like, again, feels good. Again, it's this one is ingrained in me. And
yeah, man, I'm looking up Tekken 3 right now, and damn, about to fire this up.
Yeah, whenever you're ready, come through. I have a physical copy of the game as well too. In Tekken 3, and for most of the Tekken games, I was an Eddie Gordo player. Yeah, I know. Just roll my face on the controller, right?
Put your face on the controller, start rolling around. Yep.
But yeah, then eventually I realized he's not actually as good as I thought he was. But that also forced me to learn how to play the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then I also played Hwoarang, and I played Law, because why not play the Bruce Lee character, right, in every game? And then in Tekken 4, I switched over to Jin.
Yeah. Because he was cool. He was cool.
He was no longer using the old fighting style. He's using traditional karate. Because they brought
Kazuya back.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So Kazuya was now the Jin, now the traditional Kazuya martial arts style, or the Kazama fighting style, while Jin was using the traditional karate, which was like really cool for me, because also the moveset looked really cool, and it's also actually a pretty cool bit in the story as well for the Tekken series.
For sure.
Okay, next one for you.
Okay, so here's a game that I'm surprised isn't on any. Well, this character isn't on either of our lists. For my number 3, it's Kirby Superstar for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Another game where I'm super into this game. I can play this whenever. I can put it down whenever. It's another comfort game. Basically, Kirby Superstar is an amalgam of about 9 different mini games that are put into one cart.
Yeah.
So you have your traditional Kirby experiences with Spring Breeze, a Dynablade. You have a really story-driven sort of game with Revenge of Meta Knight. You have Gourmet Race, which is basically just a racing game within Kirby. You have Milky Way Wishes, which is one of my favorite Kirby games, period, because of how different it is. Rather than sucking up the enemies, you have to find the totems or the kiosks that unlock the abilities, and then you have access to them at all times, which for me is just unlock plasma as fast as I can and then blow through the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you have the 2 other mini games. You have Megaton Punch, which is a test of strength, quote unquote, type of game that just challenges your timing. And then same thing with the Samurai Kirby game, which is just a quick draw at dawn, right? The 2 samurai are against each other. Never beat that as a kid, never beat that as an adult without the rewind function on the Switch. But I have beaten it. And then lastly, like it capitalizes everything with the arena, which is just basically a boss rush mode. Basically, you could beat this in like an afternoon. But for me, I don't know. It's just you talk about music, you talk about Kirby. I feel like Kirby's was always in my childhood. I had the Dreamland 2 Game Boy cartridge. I don't know. Kirby was always kind of around for me, and so I always kind of like think back fondly of this game, and I do feel bad because I think as I got older, for whatever reason, I just missed out on a lot of the Kirby games. But I can always go back to Superstar, and it's like I'm back, being a kid again.
Yeah, absolutely, and again, still surprised at the fact that it's not on my list either, because like I'm a big Kirby fan, right? Like my whole game collecting, hobby started because I was looking for Kirby Canvas Curse. Like that was the whole reason why I started collecting games, because I was like, there's a whole 2 generations of like Kirby games I should have missed. Like maybe even 3, where like I didn't play Amazing Mirror, Squeak Squad, Canvas Curse, Robobot, Mass Attack. You know what I mean? Like I missed out on all of those, and even though I played the most of the console releases anyway.
Yeah, same.
But the fact that a lot of those Kirby games were on consoles, and especially because I was like late, like mid to late high school, early college. Wasn't focusing on that. I was mostly playing on like a lot of like multiplayer stuff, right? But now that I've gotten my hands on those games and gone back to playing them, I'm like, yeah, like I'm surprised I don't have a Kirby game on my list. And just like I love Kirby games as well too. Again, like super cute character, and it's like especially like I think I've had the conversation with a couple of the guys before, where it's like now that we're like adults and we don't care what other people think about us anymore. There's like nothing wrong with me being an angry looking Asian man enjoying a cute Kirby game. You know what I mean? Like that's before it was like, oh, like you play dumb baby game and like, oh, you're not a real gamer. But it's like, no, Kirby games are like, yeah, they're meant to be easy. They're like literally aimed at like like housewives and children, right? But like they're super fun. They're just a really, really fun experience, and you can blast through a game in like a day or an afternoon and just enjoy yourself. It's just a good, really tight gaming experience, and they're great. And the music's fantastic, the gameplay's fun, and it's again just really cute and quirky. Like I love the Kirby series.
Yeah, it's. I think the other thing too is like as you get older, and now you're paying for your own games. It's like, do I want to spend $60 on Kirby, or do I want to spend $60 on like a more complete gaming experience with multiplayer and maybe a longer story? If you're playing like an RPG, do you want there's so many more options now, right?
Yeah.
So like that $60 is a big price point, and Nintendo games never go down in price. And in fact, like you've seen with like the third party market, like the used game market, they're sometimes more than $60. So it's difficult to rationalize sometimes maybe spending money on a Kirby game, spending that $60 specifically on a Kirby game when you can get something a little bit more, more bang for your buck, so to speak. So I think that's kind of what ended up happening. But, if you told me, hey, here's a Kirby game, I'll play the crap out of it. Of course. Absolutely. I love these games.
Yeah. One of my favorite games that's not on either one of our lists, but like again, probably missed my honorable mentions, like just barely. Kirby's Dream Course, the golf game. Yep. Like I love that game, and I was so happy when it came out on the Switch Online, because I remember my brother and I would hop on it and just start playing it, and of course I beat him because I just know that game so damn well. But it's like, damn, this game's also really, really good. And like, yeah, even the little like the spin-off games, right? Like they're really, really fun. And again, of course, we had the Forgotten Land release last year too, which was a major, major game, and I'm just very happy with that game as well too.
Yeah, that's been on my wish list since the day it came out. I'm just waiting for the stars to align, and I think I'm gonna grab it. The other one I really want to try too is the whole Return to Dreamland, like the Super Mario 3D World of Kirby games, right? Where it's like the multiplayer focus game, and you go through with Meta Knight and DDD and Waddle Dee. That looks like a lot of fun. It's a game that I missed on Switch, so it's definitely one that I'm thinking about as well.
Yeah, I've got the because that was a re-release, right? Essentially like a port over from the Wii one. I have the Wii one, so like yeah, like I was just like yeah, I had like I saw it get re-released. I was like happy that it's getting like the respect it deserves now kind of deal with a little bit of extra, right? Because they essentially gave it like another thing, another game mode in that one. But yeah, so
really?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, so there's the another main character in the game. Essentially, they made them the main your playable character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So again, just good. It's good stuff from what I've seen from it. I never played it because I already had the original. But I've heard good things about it, so I will probably put my hands on it eventually too.
For sure. Anything else Kirby related on your end?
No, I'm good. Again, I love Kirby. Again, like he's probably one of my favorite characters of all time. Like looking back at it now, because he is like literally fighting gods as this little pink puffball.
This adorable little pink puffball, right?
Yeah, but he's awesome. But he's actually a rolling ball of death, basically.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much.
I have a lot of Kirby memorabilia. Like I have a Kirby sitting in my car. I have the 25th anniversary Kirby, which is like retro pink one. Plushie, and then I also have the chonky, the massive 30th anniversary one that came out last year or 2 years ago. Last year, and I got my hands on it too as well. It just chills on my bed with me.
For me, like DDD became one of my Smash characters. Like when we were talking about Smash, like I love King DDD. I have a DDD plush at my parents' house.
There you go.
And so I don't know, man. Like I love those characters, and so like I can always play a Kirby game. So I have to put this on my list. So for me now, going into number 2, it's another character that I'm surprised hasn't made more of an appearance, but he's near the top of my list. It's Mario 64. I mean, this is another game that I could play forever. I love this game. I think a lot of people have come to love this game. I mean, you have seen kind of what the community around this game, whether it's speedrunning, whether it's modding, whether it's just playing the game regularly. I think everybody's down to play Super Mario 64.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is still one of the tightest games. I think as far as Mario is concerned, if it wasn't for Odyssey, it would have been the best Mario. It still is the best Mario game before Odyssey came out. But I think now Odyssey is objectively like the best, most well-made Mario game. Mm-hmm. And I think you can throw in a couple things like Bowser's Fury obviously revolutionized the game with like an open world Mario game, which was something that nobody had ever thought that you could possibly do, but I guess now you can, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And but I still think Mario 64 holds up so well. You talk about music, you talk about level design, like we've talked about quite a bit. I think you can go to any portion of this Mario 64, any portion of the castle, and you can remember the jingle. It's not just Bomb Bomb Battlefield, right? You can go to Shifting Sand Land or Lethal Lava Land, right? You can go to Big Boo's Haunt. You go to Dire Dire Docks and all the water levels. You remember like that serene, I don't think it's the xylophone, but it's like the marimba. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the instrument that's used in there.
I think it's maybe like a vibraphone or something.
It might be a vibraphone. It might be. And like all the music in the game is awesome. I remember going to beating the Bowser on the basement floor, getting to the upstairs when I was at my grandparents' house. So like those levels, Tiny Huge Island, Tall Mountain, Snowman's Land.
Yeah.
Those levels all mean a lot to me because I remember where I was when I finally was able to beat Bowser and get there. And then you get to the very top and you get to Tick Tock Clock and Rainbow Road or Rainbow Ride, I think it was, and all of that. And all in all, man, it's such a memorable game. And I love it. I wish it was a little easier to play, but you know how Nintendo is with all their anti
consumer BS, basically. Yeah, and
basically anti-consumer. You're right.
Yeah, like I bought the 3D All Stars collection, because I wanted it, on my Switch, right? And then it eventually came out for the online Switch, what's it called? The subscription service, right? And it's just like I was like, I'm gonna buy it because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get my hands on a like a relatively modern console, right? Like a handheld console. I mean, aside from emulating, right? Which you know, do with that as you will. But you know, if I can get it officially on the console, then I will. But yeah, like just it's one of those games that, like, again, you're right. I'm surprised we didn't see more of it on our list. And I also agree with you actually with the fact that, like, if it wasn't for Odyssey, this is probably like the best Mario game ever made.
Yeah. I think it still holds up all these years later. It's almost been 30 years, and this game is still the pinnacle for tight 3D platforming controls, level design, music, getting the bang for your buck. I mean, I don't know if you can beat this in an afternoon. I'm sure, obviously, you know, you have your speed runners and your community members that can probably plow through this pretty quickly. But I mean, you're going to get your money's worth playing Mario. So I can't think of another game that's like another Mario game that tops for me. There's one more game that tops the list for me, but this game is obviously up there and it still holds up to this day as far as I'm concerned. Yeah,
and then we also I have to acknowledge it, but the Mario 64 DS version too. Like, you know,
oh, it's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, getting getting to play Luigi, and you know, then you got Yoshi and Wario on top of it as well to change the game up a little bit more on top of it. Yeah, like, again, probably one of my favorite ways to play the game. Again, officially, because I actually still have the cartridge for that one as well too. You know, just a nice little spin on, like, again, arguably one of the greatest platformers of all time. And in terms of music, I maybe mentioned before, not just Bomb on Battlefield, but I still love Bomb on Battlefield. Like, it's still probably one of my favorite jam. I'm basic and I'm boring for this one anyway, because it is also, like, you know, it's the first level I hopped into, and it's like, yeah, this is like it. This is imprinted to my brain now. Like, like, if I could walk down, if I could walk, you know, if I can get married to that song, I would.
I'd love to see that. I am not dressing up as the Bob-omb and letting you throw me. Sorry,
you're coming in as Bowser, just
yeah, you have to swing me and throw me into it.
One other song that I guess I will have to touch upon, though, because even though I am a boring Bomb on Battlefield enjoyer, the Bowser levels, like, you know,
hell yeah,
yeah, that's absolute bangers, like absolute banger for music. And, you know,
especially the third.
Of course, they're also like harder sections as well too. You know what I mean? So, like, it's just I love the music for those ones. The tension gets ramped up. The music ramps up as well too in terms of intensity. It just works so damn well together.
Yeah, I mean, the organ hits when you're fighting the third Bowser, and he's all multicolored, and, you know, this is your final showdown with your arch nemesis, and he's the only thing between you and the princess. Still hits to this day, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely a good pick for you.
Yep. Now, if I recall correctly, you have a Mario game on your list.
I do, and it lines up perfectly for us then. For me, my favorite Super Mario game, just of all time for me, Super Mario Brothers 3.
This is my second favorite Mario game, and this has been on my OLI list. And I think this would be, like, if we did top 6, I think this would be number 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, like, we're saying, like, you know, like, top, right, but again, there's a personal list, right? We're not saying of all time, whatever.
Right, this isn't best, this is favorite.
Yeah, favorite. Like, again, like, I love Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey is the shit. I fucking love that game. Like all, like, you know, Super Mario World. Like, I'm not going to include Yoshi's Story because it's like, to me, that's a different game essentially, or Yoshi's Island, or whatever. But, like, you know, I, as much as everyone likes, you know, dunks on a little bit of Sunshine. I love Sunshine, and I love the Galaxy games as well too. But, like, in terms of,
I think Sunshine's cool.
Yeah, but in terms of, like, my personal favorite in terms of Mario games, Super Mario Brothers 3 is massive. Like, it was, like, especially going from the experience of playing Super Mario Brothers 1, which is on the same console, right, to Super Mario Brothers 3, which looks insane in comparison, right? Where we're going from, like, a pixel being his entire eye, and to be now seeing a crazy amount of detail. Like, they're squeezing every little bit that they can out of this console to make Super Mario Brothers 3 look amazing. And this was, like, the first game I was able to, like, speed run, essentially, right? And I don't mean, like, actually, like, hardcore speed running, but, like, I'd spent enough time with this game to know where all the secrets were, had kind of like semi-memorized the levels, figured out how and when to use the flutes, right? And just be able to beat the game while still technically a child. Like I was like a preteen when I first beat this game. And like a lot of the older games that I played, like a lot of those like retro games, I didn't beat them until I was older myself, like until I was like a teenager or an adult. And something about this game, like just how well this game treated me as a kid, right? Like just is so intriguing and so imprinted into my brain at this point. And even then, like as a kid, like I remember like, beating like the final levels of the game. It's insanely difficult. Like I watched it back now. I'm like, I beat this as a kid. This is wild because this seems like something I would have been like struggled on. Kind of like again, like Chem Croc, right? Like I never thought I would have seen the end of the game until like I was older. But no, like I actually beat this game when I was a child, and like it was like one of my biggest achievements when I was a kid. It's just very refined game. It's very fun. I know all the side. Was it like the little theories of this game being like a play or a musical, right? The entire time. Yeah. So, but like, I don't know, just something about it being just so much like, so like light and whimsical. I really, really enjoyed this game. And again, one of my favorite Mario games of all time.
Yeah, it really is a total package type game. We talk about the level design. We talk about how the worlds kind of flow. You start in like your traditional Mario level, and then there's a sky world, there's a desert world, there's the tiny huge, the first edition of like Tiny Huge Island, right?
Yeah.
You have that, and then like when you get to Bowser, and it feels like the stakes are high, like that World 8 kind of feels like the stakes ramp up in a way that not even in Mario 1 did you have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that really hits, you talk about the airship levels, that music in the airship, and it kind of feels like you're charging into battle, right?
Yeah,
you're actually in a war against the Koopas, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. I agree with you though. Like another game that I can go back and play all the time.
Yeah, and also because it was a little bit later into the NES life cycle, right? Like I had my cousins showing me the secrets. You know what I mean? Like again, before the internet, right? This is how we figured out secrets. And like I remember like one of my cousins showing me how to get behind the stage. You know what I mean? Like that's massive. That's massive especially for like an experience for like a child to experience. So this had so much in this game, these nice little Easter eggs and secrets for younger players to really like latch onto. Mario 1, you had, you jumped above the stage, right? That was the one that you gotta get through the underground level super easy. Like that was a really nice trick, and I really enjoyed that, having the warp pipes there. But this was like, oh, I have even more agency to do that stuff myself as well, because the game is so much more refined at this point.
And it feels like a real secret. It's not just a cheese where, oh, I'm up above the level.
Yeah, I don't deal with it
anymore. Now I get to the warp zone. Right now, it's like, wow, I have sneaked behind the world, and I have found this simple thing. And then you figure out how to get the other warp pipe, and you warp right to World 8, and you haven't had, the build-up, and you get to World 8, and you get absolutely creamed.
Exactly. You haven't like, tightened up your gameplay from that point on yet. You haven't learned everything about the game.
So you get absolutely walloped, and it's like, well, all right, I guess I got to play through this game and figure out what the hell's going on here.
Yeah, it's I guess, but again, the entire game is like a treat to play. Like I still remember I still remember in the desert level that sun being terrifying to me as a kid.
Yeah. The sun constantly getting in your way. The Lakitus. I always remember Tiny Huge World. Like that Tiny Huge World. It will always stuck with me for some reason. I don't know what it is, but it's just I thought it was so cool. And then that stuck with me into Super Mario 64. Which is like that's one of my favorite worlds is Tiny Huge World. I don't know because of that level in Mario 3, but if it wasn't for 64, 3 would be my favorite for sure.
Word. And last game for me on my list, Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, I guess by extension, right?
Yeah.
While it's not the most technical or hardcore shooters that I've played, is probably the one that I had the most fun, just outright fun playing, right? I love cooperative shooters. I wish there were more. And again, I arguably enjoy them more than I enjoy competitive shooters. And that's, that's coming from a guy like me who's played Counter-Strike, Apex, Valorant, so on and so forth, right? But like, I love cooperative shooters. And it's definitely like the realm of like us our friend group in general, I guess, getting into online play, right? We're at this point, we're at the Xbox 360. We're really, really online at this point, right? We're connected. We're playing over the headset and just night of the, like me and the boys trying to get together and try to figure out how to cover each other and get through the hardest difficulties. And then also how we could see how we could cheese some areas. Like, do you remember like the Jesus room, right, on like No Mercy,
Yep.
or like hiding under the on the up ramp towards the helipad, which eventually they patched, right? And now we're we're online. The devs were like, oh, people are cheesing our levels. Okay, we're gonna fix that. So like so we had to like learn how to play the game again, kind of like on the fly when we figured out these little cheese strats basically, and the game had a multiplayer, the Versus. I don't know if you played a whole lot of it, but it took me a little bit to get used to, because I remember not liking it when I was younger. And the reasoning, I know, like our friend Zach and Demetrius called me dumb for it, and like I think I just don't know how to word it properly. But back in the day, I just said like I had to play each level twice. If that makes any sort of sense to any of the listeners, it's because like you would play the level and then play the level again, but as a zombie, or back and forth, right? And it's like, oh, but I liked the idea of like me and three other friends barreling through a level as a well-oiled 4-man zombie killing machine. You know what I mean? That's what I liked about the cooperative aspect of this game. Again, I enjoy it a little bit more now that I've kind of got my brain around it. It unfortunately, it's only on PC now, so like some of our friends don't even play the game anymore. But like the cooperative aspect of this game on the versus mode and in the regular just for PvE mode, right? It's just something I really, really enjoy. I love cooperative games, and I just wish that more games had this cooperative aspect. Like, like GTFO is a really more like a tactical version of this game, right? Rainbow Six Extraction came out a couple years ago. Last year it was, and it was kind of like not exactly ideal. And then Back 4 Blood came out as well too, which was it was okay. You know what I mean? Like, I just wish there was more of these games where we can kind of play together cooperatively for the mission, versus like the typical PvE, PvP stuff nowadays that we see. Like the things why enjoy Destiny 2, right? Why enjoy playing the story of Destiny 2 more than I enjoy playing the PvP aspect of it.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I love a nice cooperative game. I don't know. It feels less intense when you're playing with people rather than against people. And I get it absolutely, like 100%. Like, for me, Left 4 Dead was so much fun because I didn't have to worry about it. Was me versus the environment. And I think that's why I love World of Warcraft so much. I don't know. I prefer that in most games, not fighting games, not card games, where I feel like I have a higher level of control in those games, and I don't have to worry about a team. It's just me versus my opponent. So I think that's kind of why I kind of shied away from shooters after a while, because I would feel like I was always doing my part, and then I wasn't getting the returns because my team sucked. And so that's kind of why I feel like the co-op shooters are more fun, because even if one side's slacking, if you're good enough, you can make up for the other person. Yeah. So that's kind of why I was a big fan of Left 4 Dead and most cooperative shooters. And I agree with you. I think Left 4 Dead is awesome, and I love it.
And another thing just to add on to that is like, or if you're having like a bad night, but you want to play, right? You could be having a bad night yourself. Like, back in the day, like, on the controller, it's like, oh, well, I'm just not aiming well, or I'm like not thinking properly. Like I'm not properly clearing my corners, and I'm getting pounced on by the hunter, or I'm getting smoked, getting pulled away. But at least, like, your teammates are there. Again, you're working towards an end goal. That's, I think, again, like, it just feels good to have that option to, even if you're not playing particularly great, you and your friends have the same goal in mind. So like they've got your back, kind of thing. Like it's just really fun to have it there without feeling like you're actually like an actual drag on your team. You know what I mean? Like if I play a game of Apex, or I play a game of Valorant or CS, and I'm like bottom fragging, I feel bad. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to ruin the other people's experience. But the difficulty in this game is like, you know, trying to get through the game as unscathed as possible without shooting your teammates as much as possible, right? But that's also like the fun part of it. The intensity can ramp up even if you're with your friends, kind of thing.
Completely agree. Yeah, like I agree with you. I love Left 4 Dead, and I love those games like Left 4 Dead, where, like you said, like the first level is kind of easy, and then like by the end of it, we're like, come on, we gotta go.
Yeah, it's the action.
Just leave them. We gotta finish the goddamn level.
Exactly.
And how many nights did we literally leave somebody for dead?
Exactly. Or especially when we started feeling a little spicy because we've played a couple levels already, we start Molotoving the people who aren't on the helicopter yet or the escape.
Yep.
Just start sabotaging our own friends.
Oh shit!
God.
All right, yeah, we're gonna have to play this at some point.
Yeah, we'll get another session in whenever you get the chance. But yeah, we even then, like recently, we had a couple, like I think it was like a year ago when Gabe came back from one of his deployments. Right, we hopped on with Gabe. I think you were in there. I think you were in there, weren't you? With Zach as well too.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think I did get a chance to play.
Yeah, again, if we had more free time, we could absolutely get more in. But you know, we need more Left 4 Dead in our lives.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and go okay. So let's see, Jeff, go ahead and wrap it up, or close us off here with your last game then.
Yeah. So my number one shouldn't be a shocker if you listen to the list here. It's Donkey Kong Country 2. I had to put both DKC games on there. I have played these games so much. I love both of these games so much. For me, 2 is just a step above 1. Even though I like Donkey Kong more as a character, 2 is just so much better. It's so much more well designed. The music is super iconic between, you know, the pirate ship levels, the Bramble levels, the you know, like the underwater levels. There is something else that I'm missing. Oh, the mine levels.
The mines, yeah.
The funky mine levels and all of that. The bosses, the Lost World being a concept where you have these super difficult levels that you have to unlock, blew my mind as a kid. I think I actually beat this as a kid too, which I think adds to this.
Yeah.
I was able to beat 2, but not the first one, which was really like something for me. And so I don't know, man. Like this is another one of those games that I can play forever. I love this game so much, and I can, like I said, I can play this game forever. And for me, there is nothing, at least as far as my gaming life is concerned, that I can put above this game. I love it so much. It is my beloved game forever. I don't know. I've always loved this game, and for me, it was never really a discussion as far as what my favorite game is. For me, it was always, do I put CVS 2 above this game or not? Right? It was never a matter of, is this my favorite game? It's is this my favorite game, period, fighting games and sports games and everything else included.
I did enjoy this game as well, like a lot as a kid. Again, borrowed it from West Coast Video or Pathmark or wherever, right? So this is the one where Dixie was introduced, right?
Correct.
So I think that like that's a major point in terms of like me understanding platforming as a kid, right? Like it's very core memory at this point, where like having a slight hover made platforming more approachable for a lot of people. It just made the game feel better. Yeah, again, like it's you just take Donkey Kong Country and just refine it a little bit, right? And just get rid of those like slight headaches that you used to experience before, and now it's like, okay, it just feels better to play now. So it's like, oh, it's just like
absolutely,
and you don't slight the game before it. You know what I mean? You still enjoy DKC. It's just like this is a better iteration of that game, basically.
Yeah, think of it like Doom and Doom Eternal, the way that I laid that out. It's like Doom set the groundwork for my love of this game and changed the way that I approach these games. Eternal just supremely refined it and made it that much better. But for me, I think these two games, I mean, look, it's basically kind of like the same game, just different, but I don't know. For me, I couldn't put these two together. They had to be separated. And for me, DKC2 is just far and away my favorite game ever.
Yeah, man, that's absolutely righteous, dude. It is a very, very good game, and I really should go back and play some of the old DKC games. I've only been playing the more modern, the modern ones, basically. Like I have it on my 3DS, and I should go back to touch the old ones again, just because I have the Game Boy ones as well too. Donkey Kong Land 1 and 2, I think.
Yeah,
my Game Boy.
Mm-hmm.
But just touch those again. Put my hands on DKCs on the SNES. And just like kind of see where this series came from again, because it's been a while since I've actually like popped those games in and had like a decent session playing them.
Yeah, I urge anybody to go back. And I remember recently, I bought Donkey Kong Country Returns Tropical Freeze as a gift for myself. And I remember getting frustrated with it because I felt like, I don't know, I feel like they're not as tight as the other games. So I was like, screw this, I'm going to go play Donkey Kong Country 2. Mm-hmm. And I plowed through the first 3 or 4 worlds of Donkey Kong Country 2 in an evening, just because I felt like it. And I could do that all the time. It's a recurring theme, right? With a lot of the games on this list, as far as our favorites are concerned, they're games that we can always go back to, and you still feel maybe not the same way, but you definitely still feel something. And for me, that's the mark of like a favorite game. It's something that you can always go back to, and you still feel a certain way about it. And I'll always feel that way about not just Donkey Kong Country 2, but the other 4 games on the list.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like I think this is like a really good. This whole episode is like a really good look into who we are as gamers, right? That's a really cringy sentence, but right. But yeah, like as much as I don't play like every RPG anymore, I don't have the time to dump 80 hours into an RPG anymore. But like Legend of Dragoon means something to me. Like it's like the first RPG that I beat, and the first one that I've ever beat multiple times. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't like a new game plus thing on it. It was like, no, I just beat it again just because I wanted to. Shovel Knight is just one of my favorite platformers like ever. But again, might be my favorite platformer ever. And just I know I'm having a stroke over here. But yeah, again, you just kind of see who we are and what kind of formed us in terms of like what we look for in terms of video games, right? Basically, what we want nowadays is essentially just like a modernized, refined version of what we've played before, and with a new spin on it, right? That's how we look at new stuff nowadays. But I think that like, especially because I'm there's the meme of like game journalists not being able to actually play video games, right? But like no, like I'm not a game journalist by any means. I'm just a guy who likes video games and wants to talk about them, dragging a friend of mine who is a legitimate game journalist and also actually a legitimate gamer as well into the conversation.
Right. Yeah, no, we made it a point at Twin Galaxies to not be bad at video games. Like we made it a point to say, oh no, we actually play games and we're actually good at them. And we don't make excuses, right? We don't get stuck on the first thing of Cuphead, the first level of Cuphead.
Yeah, that's tutorial level.
Yeah, no, we made it a point to say all that. And so it's nice to be able to go through these games and say, oh, I've beaten this. Maybe as an adult, I beat a children's game as an adult, but hey, I still beat it. I still saw the end.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. And again, we hope you listeners enjoyed this episode. Bit of a weird ride for us in this last couple of weeks to try to get this episode to actually happen.
Yeah, I'm not doing this again. Like if the audio screws up, whatever, screw it. Like we're just going to do something else.
Just go to the next episode. Yeah, let's move along.
Yeah.
But listener, thank you so much for giving us the support over this first year of us doing our show. We like from the bottom of our hearts, genuinely thank you. This started off as a passion project for us, and it still is. Like even if we get the chance to finally monetize this one day, we still just want to talk about video games. We enjoy these conversations we get to enjoy what people like. People who have never experienced these games or have experienced these games, and I get to hear our opinion on it, and just get to re-enjoy a conversation basically about like why we like video games in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to hear more, like we always say, please like, subscribe, share with a friend. Stay tuned for more, and we'll hopefully be back to more accommodating digs here moving forward. And I think we'll see what the next year brings. But thanks so much for a great first year, and let's keep going for year 2.
Thanks, guys. See you in the next episode. Hold on, I got to burp. It's not coming out.
Leave it in.
So like I would go there and damn it, hold on. Oh, dying.
Leave it all in.
Okay, we're fine. Whatever.